Let's officially start this episode, which is episode 35. With me is Michael Caneff, and he won, 2 weeks ago, he and his team won a very prestigious competition called CASSINI. It's by the European Union, right? It's a European Union type of competition.
Yeah, funded by the European Commission. It is one of their flagship hackathons, plus a lot of other programs that they have. But the idea is we gather pretty much every nation of the European Union, 10 per year.
Yeah.
We see what kind of innovativeness teams can come up with the idea is, again, with the context of using satellite and space data. So think of a business idea, something innovative that you can do with this data, make a prototype with it, see if we can develop it into a business idea. If you win, you get funding, and then you go down the rest of the pipelines with incubators and accelerators and more money and bigger opportunities until something actually comes out of it.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention also that Sofia Tech Park was the host and also, I believe, the organizer maybe of this event.
They were the national level organizers directly communicating with Brussels, which is where the European Space Agency lives. Yeah,
and we have to be thankful for Sofia Tech Park because I actually saw you guys via the channel of Sofia Tech Park. And when I saw your idea, I immediately decided to contact you because, as you know, I'm also involved in Hiker BG, and I was like, hey, this might be actually relevant. Nonetheless,
not only relevant, but one-to-one, super applicable.
Yeah, absolutely. And whatever happens, I think it's still a very, very cool idea that's absolutely worth being on a podcast. Let's now dive deep into the topic of the startup. First of all, tell me, what was the origin story of this startup? How did you come up with such a... Because it is a very ambitious idea. You don't hear a lot of people here in Bulgaria and Sofia, I'm going to do stuff with satellites and, technology for space and stuff.
That's as simple as the question it is. It's also quite loaded. So I guess let's go back to front. Most people in Sofia are not thinking about making companies from satellites. The context is I'm in the Faculty of Physics in their Aerospace program. So every day of my life, or at least for the past 3 years, I'm just inundated with satellite or space information and seeing how the economy of our current space world works. And at least in our hub, it certainly feels like 2016, 2017, before the AI kind of explosion. We're seeing the same thing happening now, where it's even in context, last week, Blue Origin, the competitor to SpaceX, managed to land something like a 20, 30-ton rocket in the same way that Falcon 9 lands, right? So we have reusable boosters. Now there's 2 companies that can do this. So when you're inundated with this for years on end, I have personally the explicit goal of, oh my God, this is interesting. Let me do something cool with this. You set yourself up philosophically, and then you're also in that same space, culturally. So it comes out naturally to kind of think of, I'm not going to make an AI direct startup or some fintech startup. You'd want to do a space startup if you're in that culture. So it was the natural starting point for me.
How exactly were you okay, I'm gonna use space technology to... So first of all, can you do an elevator pitch of your startup? Can you say what your startup does in 1 or 2 sentences?
Yeah, of course. So what we do is we take space data, we integrate it within a physics model, and we give you daily updatable risk maps for avalanche risk-prone zones in the mountains.
How exactly did you decide to work on that problem exactly? Because you love nature, because you're a skier?
I absolutely love nature, and I'm also a skier by coincidence. But I suppose the birthplace of this idea was when I was hiking a couple years ago in Malovica, and anybody who's local and in Bulgaria knows where this place is. It's essentially a very popular hiking area where it has about elevation 2,200 meters, and it has quite a few It has quite a bit of snow and quite a few risk-prone zones for avalanches.
It's 200, 700 meters, yeah, and it's also the cradle of of Bulgarian alpinism, yeah.
There we go. So
yeah.
I was climbing it and I was summiting it one day right after a storm, and you just see, I mean, like I'm talking about meters worth of snow, and I'm just hiking it with my crampons, and the guide is telling us, oh, over there there was an avalanche and it killed 7 people, so watch out where you step, and you're sitting there, wait, what do you mean it just killed? And like that, then like there's a monument and the honors are placed there, but you're sitting there and you're thinking, seriously, right? And then I lived through it and I saw some of the courses about like what you can do for avalanches. And do you know what's the best strategy to avoid an avalanche, like to survive an avalanche?
Just don't go when there's avalanche risk.
I'm not joking. That's the best you can do.
I know.
If you get caught in one, you're pretty much done for.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like this is a huge problem that and this, like the way we test for avalanches is like laughably bad.
Yeah.
So me being an engineer and a physics background, I said, okay, can't we do something better than using 19th century technology? And when you have that idea like buried in your head for years, kind of it festers and it grows slowly until you add all the pieces of your life together to make it come to be. So here it is.
I don't know if you know it's a very sad fact, but Malovica is actually the place where 12, I believe they were 12, one of the most elite Bulgarian alpinists were buried in an avalanche. They all died. Like literally, they were just walking under a slope, and just a massive avalanche wiped them out. And that was the reason for Blaga Dimitrova. I don't know if you've heard about that writer. She wrote, especially for that incident, a novel called in Bulgarian Wavina Avalanche. So I don't know, maybe it's a weird coincidence that your idea originated from the place where this novel Avalanche was written. I mean,
there certainly is some synergy into that.
I mean, this valley is really prone to avalanches, and a lot of legends in alpinism. I mean, Ludmil Yankov, I don't know if you've heard about that guy. He's also lost his life in that valley under Camille at the peak. So maybe it's a good place to wonder about avalanches.
It's certainly a good place to start thinking about them.
I mean, yeah, it's a pretty dangerous place because just for the audience that don't really know about this valley, I mean, most of the people in Bulgaria and Sofia have been to this valley, but it's basically U-shaped, and you're basically walking. If you're climbing Malovica, you're walking through this U-shaped valley. And you basically have like avalanche risk, maybe like, I don't know, maybe 80% of the route. I'm not sure. It's a very avalanche.
Once you leave the hut until you reach like the second terrace and you're really at the top of the mountain, you have to pass through in the center of that bowl. And by the time you reach up there, you just see like meters worth of snowpack just waiting if it's its time.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And okay, so like you said, you were in the physics faculty, and what exactly do you do with the satellites? Like, you don't own the satellites. Like, it's not I mean, not you personally, but it's neither part of Sofia University. What is this satellite? Who owns this stuff? These satellites.
So if you're worth millions and millions of dollars, you can outright buy one and order them. I mean, actually, ironically, right next door is Endurosat, which is one of the largest European manufacturers for satellites. Currently they're doing something like 10 satellites per month. Their goal is to make one every 2 days, I believe, or 2 every 1 day, one or the other. Don't quote me on that one. So what you have is we have the Americans, we have the Europeans there through NASA and ESA, and the Indians have their own program, but they'll fund these huge government projects worth billions of dollars to stimulate the space economy. They'll have these satellites up there, which are actually free for use, right? Their idea is to stimulate the European economy. And what they want is to make companies out of this. So you'll have different kind of spectrum of satellites, whether it's measuring air quality or optical or infrared or radar. And then when their goal is essentially what I'm trying to do now is build a company out of this. So these are freely accessible satellites. Now, if you want like even better data or higher revisit times, you can pay for those. But today's economy is so interesting and dynamic, especially in the space sector. If you have the motivation and the idea, you can get pretty far without having to unload millions of dollars in hardware.
And so in this physics faculty, in this program of yours, how many people do they study these studies?
So right now I'm in a class. So there's 10 of us.
Yeah.
Per year, there's about 10 people who sign up in in our program. For context, it's in Sofia University, Faculty of Physics, Aerospace, Engineering, and Communications. So you'll study orbital mechanics, you'll study rocket mechanics, you'll study structures, you'll study material analysis. How do you actually make a space plan mission? So every year there's about 10 physicists or engineers who join. We also have quite strong ties with Endurosat, who are manufacturing them. And yeah, that's the start of it.
I actually cannot believe how many like different really fields of study Sofia University has, because I mean I've already talked to a guy who's like an Antarctic explorer. I mean, now you're talking about space.
It's pretty dynamic, no?
I mean, this is Sofia University. I'm like, wow. I mean, I wasn't expecting like such a big, scope of activities. Okay, and so like your team, is it again from the physics faculty?
Most of us are, yeah.
In the same program?
Except one meteorologist who's super key for us, since we are dealing with the atmosphere and weather patterns.
Yeah.
So most of us are aerospace engineers, meteorologists, and software developers, which was my old life, but I gave that up now.
Yeah, that was something also I wanted to ask. So what was your bachelor's degree?
My bachelor's degree was in computer engineering with a focus on software systems, but I also touched hardware. I did it in Canada, then I continued with my master's in aerospace.
So it's actually possible to switch from computer science to like space technology?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah,
Wow.
I mean...
Because it sounds so inaccessible. Like when I hear like space stuff, I imagine that you have to be like from school, maybe, you have to study these types
like
of stuff.
the nerdiest of the nerd kids can only survive this thing. Like it helps if you have like baseline physics, but it's not such an insane filter. More so, it's more so the philosophy. Okay, do you have the interest to learn what we're doing?
Yeah.
If so, yes, you can. Like it's mostly trainable. I mean, it's not inhumane things.
Yeah.
So anybody who truly has interest in learning something like this, go for it. And like space is pretty cool. It's a pretty big spot, and Earth is getting crowded these days.
I mean, yeah, that's a very good pitch. But how did you pitch your idea to your fellow team members? Like, how did you assemble? Like, are they also alpinists or skiers or something like that?
Honestly,
how did you
no.
assemble this team? Because it's actually really hard to pitch an idea in front of people and for them to actually buy into the idea and to and to invest their own time and energy, sometimes money. Into such an idea. I mean,
absolutely. This kind of touches on the co-founder problem.
Yeah.
My experience and the answer I can give is, don't talk about it. First, do it. First, make a MVP version of everything. So, in our case, I used the data. I figured out where the snow coverage is on the maps, and then I said, okay, let's see if we can combine other data. Once I have some kind of cool MVP, and nobody likes being first or the second. They're kind of scared of being the second person, because then they're like, oh my goodness, am I the stupid one, right? Yeah. But the third person's like, that's already a crowd, so they're okay with being the third. Yeah. So what you have to do is like, get enough inertia for yourself, build a thing, then find somebody who is a bit of a riskier kind of person that wants to do something cool. Yeah. And then from once you're on two, you can, your team is being built pretty damn quickly.
Wow. And prior to that, did you have any startup knowledge or anything related to entrepreneurship?
Yes, I would say so. So in our university here, it's the culture and the essence of what we do there, it's kind of insane. Yeah. I think half of my class right now stays up till 2 or 3 in the morning just reading about what space is doing, and then they'll come in the morning being like, guys, boom, this is what I did. It's super cool. Yeah. Look what SpaceX look what all the other companies are doing. And then I stood up reading till 4 in the morning, what's happening, and then they'll make some kind of prototype. So one, culture helps with that. So if someone's looking, go try and find that culture. If not, I do think about it quite a bit, and I was in part of I was one of the founding engineers of a different startup company that it didn't go anywhere, but
Yeah.
it showed me where things were going. The idea was to make a re-entry capsule. For we can send things to space, but getting things back down from space is a lot harder.
Yeah.
One of the massive physics problem, and we can talk about that
That's
later.
not the same with airplanes, right?
No, they're pretty simple comparatively to that. No, they're below the speed of sound. Things coming back down from space are 25 times the speed of sound, which is like 10 times faster than a bullet.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy. So just imagine like a giant car coming down 10 times faster than a speeding bullet weighing tons.
Yeah,
that's the type
the problem.
of problem. Yeah. It's crazy. But like that was the original startup we had, and we started doing like modeling and CFD analysis on that. But like that was my first failed attempt of this. So we tried that for a couple months, realized, okay, doesn't work. We rested, recouped, and then the next idea came, which I'm like, oh my God, this is something cool.
Wow. Yeah. So basically, does your startup currently have monetization? What are your like plans to monetize it? Also, are you searching for funding currently?
Gotcha. Okay. So on monetization, eventually it will be
basically your
monetized?
business model. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There's going to be a basic version, right? So I want it accessible for everybody.
Yeah.
But then for example, like rescue services or ski resorts, that part's not going to be monetized. Or absolute mountaineers that will go every day and they need much higher resolution. That's where the business model will come in, and it'll be based on a subscription plan where, okay, I can open up the apps through an API. And then people can subscribe to those things, and you can get these daily updatable maps, right? But right now, we're not necessarily looking at individual client, like end users, more so the app manufacturers or the let's say, I don't want to call them bigger players, but from B2B to C is essentially the chain linkage of the way we're seeing it now. In terms of funding, we're definitely open to funding to get this thing moving quickly. Part of the startup culture is velocity. Yeah. So now that we have inertia, that inertia has to be maintained with velocity, and we don't want to stop, and we need to move quickly through all the stages of validating it and actually sending that out to the public.
And since we were talking about who's the first, second, and third in a market, actually, do you have any competitors currently? And is this like an idea that's already used in other parts of the world, other resorts, or Austria, Switzerland is always
Switzerland's a great example. Yeah. They do it, but they don't do it with the same kind of technique. What they do is use in situ data, which is like on site. They just have physical hardware that's right where the slopes are. Then you can measure what the snow depth is and see its different layers and how dense it is and how much water is in there. So what they do is then they have all of these physical devices. They'll integrate that through like an Internet of Things network, and then they'll have that centralized, and then everybody else can access that centrally. Competitors, I mean, every state has something like this, but it's regional. We can achieve this at 10-meter fidelity. Nobody else really can do this. So in that sense, we're actually quite pioneering. We're pioneers in this context.
Also, so I was wondering, is this technology aimed towards people who already have some knowledge in the mountains, have some experience? Or is this for like beginners? Like who is this aimed for?
No, first we want to handle, especially with a new startup, the philosophy is find what the problem or the pain point is, because those are your biggest motivators, right? So whoever is going to be the most motivated to actually use this product, so those are going to be mountain guides and off-piste skiers, right? Their lives depend on it, or if it's not their life directly, it's the people they're leading their lives to. So if you can give them a better chance of survival, since we talked before on camera, or once you're trapped in an avalanche, there's almost no chance of actually surviving it. So you never want to be to meet an avalanche in itself. So though, like the hardest core skiers and off-piste people would be our target group. Once we can satisfy them, then we can start talking about the general public and what they would use. Especially also like mountain rescue would be interested. Yeah,
the first thing that comes to mind for such people is like from my experience, they're very critical and very how should I say,
Not the highest standards.
conservative. Let's say
Yeah.
they're a bit conservative about such technologies. I've always imagined such people, and I've heard from such people, they just want to go out in the field and test it out and do the snow tests with the shovels and everything. How would you persuade them to also rely on this type of technology? Also, another thing. First answer this question, then I'll add it up because it's going to become a long question.
This isn't meant directly as a replacement. It's right now meant as a first analysis tool to see where are the actual risk zones. And once you're there, you can save time and energy and resources instead of sending people to 10 different places and seeing which ones are the risk zones. You already have first level analysis being like, okay, here, and here. Those are red, so let's actually validate them, or let's check if we're going to send people there. Then we'll know for sure.
Yeah, that's actually really smart. So basically, let's say I've decided 100% I'm going to go to a ski resort this weekend.
Sure.
And I just checked the weather report on your app a day before, and it says 5 out of 5 avalanche risk, and I'm just gonna be riding on the slopes today on the ski without backcountry skiing.
Okay, so just on the
maybe that's a good case study. Like, you're like, okay, tomorrow's gonna be 100% no chance for off-piste skiing. That's a good case study. But a lot of these people would say, you got the satellite data, you got the snow quality and everything, but how would you factor in like the winds? Because wind plays a very huge role in how it shapes the different you know what I mean, the different layers and everything.
Wind moves things.
Yeah, wind moves things. Yeah, how are you gonna take this into account as well?
The key thing here is that you don't only use satellite data. You actually have to use a combination of different sources of data.
Yeah.
So we use meteorological data as well. We can see where the wind vectors are for how long and for what area they're covering. So once you have that, you'll know how much snow they are, and then you can use energy-based models to actually compute what the transport component is, right? So if I have a slope and then wind is blowing against the slope, right, you're going to know, okay, the snow that's on the bottom of the slope is going to be transported up. Conversely, on the opposite, if the wind is blowing down the slope, it's going to force snow to go down the mountain, right? So once you know where the snow is and where the wind is going, you can do some math and kind of magic. Not magic, but essentially just transport models, and then you can see where the snow can be.
Yeah, so basically, let's say that after all of these calculations, you're basically doing something like an avalanche bulletin. Is that what it's called, actually?
Currently what they have is, so if you go to Switzerland, France, like any of the big nations, we even have it here in Bulgaria as well. But what they do currently is an avalanche bulletin, which is, let's say, okay, last night we had 50 centimeters of snow over this region, which is Vitosha or Mont Blanc or wherever else it may be. And then you say, okay, since we look at the meteorological data, which is like at resolution of kilometers, right? And we say 20 kilometers by 20 kilometers, it was just pounding snow at the mountain. This whole mountain's red, right? And we say, okay, that's not safe. Which in a way, sure, is true. But even if imagine this following situation. I'm under a storm. It just stormed, so now I have 50 centimeters of snow. But I'm on flat ground. 0% chance there's going to be an avalanche. Right? So even though the bulletin is right, if I'm on flat ground, there's zero risk. But if now I'm at like a 5-degree slope, there's some risk. Very negligible risk, but some. Now, if you keep on adding more and more factors, you can get higher resolution on what's actually happening. So that's the central idea.
My second question regarding this bulletin is, since you're using more advanced technology, let's say, to measure these changes in the snow, how often will it be refreshed? Because as you know, even throughout the day, like let's say in spring, like in the morning, it could be totally avalanche free. Like the risk would be zero when it's cold in the night and in the morning. But then throughout the day, the sun has the effect on the snow. It melts it, and then you can have an avalanche. How often would it be refreshed? And are you going to also take the factors of like the sun and also these types of stuff?
You can use the sun for seeing the actual solar radiation and how
Yeah.
much it irradiates the mountain. You don't actually need a fidelity of 12 hours. Speaking with experts, the highest standard, really what they would want is like once per day,
Yeah.
right? So what you could do is, this is all based on like what kind of satellites you used. So currently what we can achieve is average 3.88 days revisit time. So
Yeah.
every 3 and a bit days, we'll get a new scan of the mountain that we're looking at, and then we can update the risk model, right? That's only with one class of satellites. We can always add more classes of satellites to update that more. But currently what the standard is you have to hike up the mountain, do your snow test yourself, and then you'll know it only for that particular slope.
Yeah.
Right? And like the snow test is like tapping snow with your hand. So if you tap it too hard, you crush the snow, and you're like, did I tap too hard, or is that actually unstable?
Yeah.
So the current gold standard is quite poor.
Is this going to be only for like? Can you do it also for? I mean, is this going to be only for Bulgarian ski resorts, or can you do it for like, I don't know, maybe you decide to expand, go do for Austria or something like that?
Well, we're local,
Yeah.
so since we're local here, we start here.
Yeah.
We're eyeing Milovica and Pirin as the two main mountains for now. Purely because of accessibility, and we need to iterate quickly. So I'm not going to be flying out to Austria every single weekend to get snow tests.
Yeah.
But physics is physics everywhere. So
Yeah.
once you validate the model locally, there's nothing stopping you from going abroad. Right? And hundreds of lives are lost every single year because of avalanches, not to mention infrastructure destruction or injuries. So it makes the logical sense to expand this all across Europe and America and elsewhere.
Yeah, and you said specifically Milovica and Pirin. Like, what do you mean? You're going to also go physically there to validate if your predictions were true or something like that? Did I get it?
Yeah, absolutely. We have data on the snowpack. So snowpack is like over time series. So over time, how much snow has accumulated over each single week of the of the snow season. So we have historical data on that locally, right?
Yeah.
So especially now the winter season coming up. Now we're in December. Those mountains are already covered, so we can go visit those mountains and compare them in real time as well as historically to see what the situation is. So yeah, those would be the motivations, just because of accessibility, and we already have data there.
Interesting. And are you planning also for Vitosha? Because I mean, it's also really close by to measure what.
There are a couple avalanche prone zones in Vitosha, certainly. Yes, we are, but we have more data on Milovica and Pirin. So as well as like the actual back-end maps that we're using, we have the highest quality there. Yeah.
And also, how are you going to, let's say, render this information? I mean, if I'm just, in the mountains, I don't want to read. Okay, let's imagine I'm on this slope, I'm on this peak. I don't want to read something super, technical or something.
Yeah.
How are you gonna do it simple and easy,
It absolutely has to be simple and easy.
Because
people
you don't have a lot of time. I mean,
it could
be because it could be freezing, it could be everything.
You're going to be with your gloves on a tiny phone trying to click through a different.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Nobody wants to do all of this stuff.
Well, we're all visual creatures. At least me speaking, I think in patterns and visuals, right? I don't want to read lists and things like that. So it's going to be color coded, right? 4 different levels where it's not it's simple, challenging, extreme, and please don't go there. Right? In the 1990s, I believe, there was a very large avalanche that happened in my native homeland of Canada, where quite a few people passed away because of it. And they developed a standard called the ATES system, which essentially color codes where the avalanches are based on some static, like where the avalanches could come from based on static data, right? And that's a really good. It's specifically designed for people who are like casual hikers to see which zones are in the mountains to avoid. So we're going to use that same scaling system, but we're going to feed it different inputs to give you a map that's already been historically used and people like it, right? So it's been proven that it's useful for them. Yeah. By the way, I don't know if the listeners know, but there are also these types of
ATEM cards. I believe that's what they're called. They are basically coloring the angle of the slopes in the mountains. In Bulgaria, we're having more and more data on this, like more and more ATEM maps. So basically, like, let's say that if you have a very steep slope, it would be colored in red, and you would, think of your route when you're going in the mountains, like, don't go through the red zone, or don't go below the red zone, because, logically, if there's a red zone and it's like a slope, if you're going just beneath it, you could be risking your life. Because
there'll be a run out.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, something also interesting I just wanted to mention, part of the nerd facts. So basically, avalanches most often happen between 30 degrees and 45 degrees.
Yep.
Actually, it was from this lecture that we were like 1 or 2 weeks ago about the avalanches by PEFSA, the Bulgarian Freeride Association. The interesting thing is that most incidents happen when there is an avalanche risk of 3 out of 5. Yeah, so if you think about it, like most avalanches happen between 30 degrees and 45 degrees when the danger levels are 3. So actually, the irony is that whenever everything is in moderation, that's statistically when most accidents happen.
There's the human psychology.
Human psychology. Right? So it would be actually interesting if you guys think of something to, prevent this or something. That's also, I don't know if you know, for Mont Blanc, let's say, one of the most summited peaks in Europe, because it's obviously has, but it also has a very high death rate because it's so popular. So yeah, that's something to think about it. I was also thinking, are you gonna implement some kind of like an AI assistant or something like that in this? You know what I imagine? I imagine if you have something like a voice assistant or something. I believe I saw it in Austria. They were making some goggles with like an AI assistant that can help you out with slopes and stuff. I imagine,
like
I don't know.
a route planner to tell you where to go?
Yeah, something like that. Like it's something like an AI assistant for going on slopes. And are you planning to implement some kind of AI technology to help you out with determining whether you should go on this slope, whether you should take this couloir or whatever? I don't know.
In the context of exactly route planning, I don't think that's not necessarily the focus.
Yeah.
Our focus is to give you the best possible avalanche risk map.
Yeah.
That's humanly possible and technologically possible.
Yeah.
Right? Once you have that baseline, you can add on different AI technologies to get that going. But first of all, you need the bedrock there, and then you can start doing route planning or not collision avoidance, but avalanche avoidance and things like that.
Yeah.
Right? But our singular goal is just to say, where is the potential avalanche zone for today, and then for tomorrow, and then for the day after.
Yeah, sounds really cool. And have you thought about partnering up with the local, let's say, BEFSA, or BEFSA is the Bulgarian Freeride Association, or PSSE, which is the Bulgarian Mountain Rescue Service, or what else? These are maybe the main guys that are involved in.
Funnily enough, I'm in contact with PSSE, the Mountain Rescue Services.
Yeah.
I have another meeting with them tomorrow where we're in constant dialogue about how we can help them with what their goal is.
How did they receive the idea?
They were like, please, let's work with this. This is great. So they were super enthusiastic with the inclusion of this, because they didn't tell me this, but now the mountain guide told me that the mountain guides that I'm speaking with, he said the situation isn't only bad, but it's like it's extreme, it's crucial. Yeah. Currently, the standard is horrible, like worldwide, and like we need this solved. So the need is there; it's been identified. Now it's just deliver it to them in a frictionless way.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you saw, like yesterday, PSSE had their annual mountain safety lecture. Specifically for winter. Also, Hiker BG was there.
Very cool.
Yeah, which is very cool. Also one of the biggest problems, with PSSE and all these accidents, is that I don't know if you know the statistics. Like there were 2,000 mountain rescue service operations each year, and from that number, only 20% of the people have mountain insurance. But also another very interesting thing is most of these accidents actually happen when skiing and snowboarding. It's actually pretty. It's not while hiking. It's not while doing alpine stuff like climbing, and it's while skiing and snowboarding.
It'd be interesting to see how many of the people in the mountains are skiing and snowboarding versus hiking. Maybe we can make some kind of correlation there and see what it's worth.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but just also to note that those people that are skiing and snowboarding, most of them the accidents are on the ski resorts, like not in the back.
Oh, they're not off piste either.
Yeah, no. I mean, maybe there are a lot of also off piste, but most of, like I said, with the popularity thing, like most people, they ride on the slopes, so most accidents will be logically enough on the slopes.
Makes sense. There's a correlation there.
Yeah. I was also thinking not only for backcountry, but can your models show, let's say, in the spring, if there's like little snow on the slopes on the ski resorts, if you are like wondering, hey, should I go skiing today? What's going to be the quality of the ski slope? Can you do also that?
We can tell you really quite easily where the snow is, right, in relation to that where it is on the slope. That's like I wouldn't call it I wouldn't call it a trivial problem, but like one level above a trivial problem for us to tell you where snow is on the slopes. And like, hey, instead of like relying on the cameras with like the snow cameras, that's actually a great idea.
You know what? No, I'm gonna tell you actually something funny. I'm just thinking about it. The most common question I get from, let's say you've been out skiing, the most common question you get from your friends, hey, how's the snow? You know, and you're like, you know, it was hard, it was soft, it was blah, blah, blah. Imagine if you guys can just, you know, put the data out there. I don't know if that's going to be, you know.
That sounds like a really, that sounds like a great spin-off. I'm surprised.
I mean, you know what? I don't know if that's also possible to give information about the length of the queues on the ski lifts. You know, is that even possible?
Yeah, Jesus, let me think now.
I mean, we're brainstorming on the podcast.
Now this is essentially how you start generating new product ideas, right?
Yeah. Because because if I know that I'm gonna be waiting for like 2 hours on a line, I'm not gonna even bother to go to the ski resort.
Well, I'm
intentionally not saying names.
From my experience, like lines at ski lifts are super long. So like, okay, here's the thing. When you're skiing, you care about like that. At that point, you're working at 15-minute resolution times, right? You don't care about how long the line is. Only for today, you want it at this hour, at the next hour, at the next hour, at the next hour, right? So like theoretically, because the satellite will really only pass over once per day, not like 16 times per day or something. So if it passes right over like that singular spot, I can definitely I can tell you how many people there are. Actually, you can. There's a cool side project that I have where it's like, right, where it's like I have pictures of the of Sofia at 3 meter, less than 3 meter resolution of the entire Sofia. So what you can do with that is like see all of the cars in Sofia, and what I can do is I can start like running machine learning models on that picture, tell it what a car and a bus looks like, and then go and count me every single car in Sofia, right? I'm like, okay, is it 1 million? Is it 2 million? Is it 1.5? I don't know, but I'll tell you soon. So with people, it's like you can kind of do that, but like you'll be once per day at best.
Maybe you can try it out. Yeah, actually, related to what you said with the side project, I even have one of these questions, which is interesting enough. Is it possible to use your technology to predict also other similar nature phenomena? Like mudslides or flooding, or I don't know what else. What else is like a huge, natural force that breaks everything in its way?
Well, I mean, earthquakes would be the biggest one, right? There is work being done on the earthquake side, which is actually really, really cool. Yeah. Because if you take enough data points, let's say of like a mountain or some earthquake, right? The earthquake is going to have like some kind of a fracture line where everything kind of generates, and with the data that you're working with, you can get like sub-millimeter accuracy, right? And you can get sub-millimeter accuracy penetrating into the ground.
But isn't that, aren't you getting into the field of seismology?
The baseline of it would be the same, right? You're using deep penetrating radar to see what the movement of the crust is. And from there on out, you can start putting some kind of a gradient about like what has moved at what rate per day. Yeah. And then once you can do that, you can start outlining, okay, this section of the earth has moved, this section hasn't. Therefore, your fracture line is going to be at that borderline. So you can do that. There's a massive amount of things you can do. Classically,
Yeah, but let's say for like for maybe floods are like the biggest danger. Let's say this one that happened in Elenite. Can you use satellite data to predict those types of stuff, or is it too slow to?
No. What you would do essentially is you would have a very like how do you predict like flooding? What you do is you have a very accurate model of the terrain. For example, Elenite. Then you run a simulation. It's like, okay, once I have like the mountain regions of Elenite, not snow, but the rain is going to fall onto it, and then you can actually do flow analysis, right?
Yeah.
And see, okay, given the terrain and the gradient of whatever mountain I'm looking at, let me see how does the rain accumulate, and then you'll have some accurate model of every single building inside your city. So you'll have like a city clone. In software, and then you can see where the pooling zones are of the water, and then you'll see where the floods are. These are being done, and there are companies that actually do this. So it's a really valid thing to actually see where what that's being applied. I'm surprised no one's actually done it on Alenity yet. It's a tractable problem.
Mm-hmm. All right, and to get into the conclusion part of this, podcast episode, because avalanches are like it's a dangerous topic. Like it's like many people would think, oh, okay, I'm gonna have like some training, an app, and I'm all ready to go. Also, like free riding and backcountry skiing and snowboarding has become way more accessible than before. Like regarding equipment, everybody's watching like videos of people like doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, Red Bull is to blame for that one.
Yeah, I just watched the one with the Everest ski descent of that Polish guy. I don't know if you watched it.
Which one was this one now?
It was like a week or two ago. Like this Polish guy summited Everest and he skied down it.
Oh Jesus!
And like his brother was the drone operator, and he basically filmed all of the descent. Like I'm literally saying, because he also summited K2 like 6 or 7 years ago, but there was only like a 5 or 6 minute video, and it was like different shots and stuff. But this time it was super detailed. It was like you can like watch it from like the summit until the end with the drone shots, with his GoPro shots. It was, I mean, just watch it. I'm gonna send it to you after this thing.
Please do that. It's pretty cool.
Anyways, like okay, so this guy's basically inspiring all of these people to like, to like go and do all of this crazy stuff. But we do have to note that backcountry skiing is like really, really dangerous. Like it's literally, maybe even we can safely say the most dangerous sport of them all, because it's highly accessible. You just basically take the lift, and when you go off
and break the rules.
Yeah, and break the rules. Like if you go on like a bound school, like literally you just go off the lift and you have like three or four like free ride zones, like the valley, which is like towards Wichrenhut, like it's really popular, but it's super, super dangerous. So what would be your what would you say to people who, I mean, it's everybody loves skiing and snowboarding, but what would you say for them to be cautious with this thing?
Use your brain.
Yeah.
Seriously, use your brain when doing these things. I mean, they're super fun, and I like hiking, and I like extreme sports in my own sense. But like, there are tools, and there's tools coming out to help you get better information. And once you do get the information, actually like think about what you have in front of you and like plan accordingly once you have that. Don't just think you're invincible because you survived an avalanche. Or like my favorite is the skiers that like they go hunting for like the avalanche risk zones to get the awesome shot where they're skiing down and the avalanche occurs beneath them. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is terrifying. But like, use your wits about you when you do these things, because these are risky endeavors. So
I mean, it's really a very, very dangerous sport, like we said. So don't take it lightly. Especially like just take the courses that are for winter mountaineering, for avalanche safety. Like don't rely just on like a bulletin and some app or something. Like you have to be very well prepared when going into the sport. You also have to have like a mountain guide for doing this types of stuff.
Seriously, if I may add, when an avalanche does catch you, you think you're invincible.
Yeah.
After 15 to 20 minutes, you have a 15% chance of surviving. Right? 85% chance of fatality after that. And you're going to die by asphyxiation. It's not pretty. So your best strategy is never to meet these things. They're terrifying.
Yeah, and also another psychological factor which I'd like to share is I've heard like people who've done extreme sports in the past when they were young. When you're young, you're basically going through this heroic phase. I think most of us have gone
Main
through
character
this
phase.
Yeah, main character, like doing crazy stuff, and you associate your personality and your social status with doing the extreme stuff, doing crazy, and don't do that. Like be rational. Associate your personality with more meaningful things because I mean your life is like just you have only one life, and you have so much stuff in front of you. Like
be careful with the psychology of hold my beer and watch this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, and as final words, what are you gonna say to young people who are wondering if they should start their startup, go into entrepreneurship? What would you?
Oh my goodness, please, for the love of goodness and all that is good, do it. Chase your dreams.
Yeah.
The world needs more people that are interested in actually creating things.
Yeah.
Don't be just a simple consumer that's looking and scrolling through social media and finding for the next hit of dopamine, but actually create the thing. I'm telling you, it's so much more worthwhile and exhilarating, and you'll find things are more interesting that way. And as a side, if I might allow myself to tell people, if you guys are interested in what we're doing, you can go find us at avmap.space.
Yeah, I'm gonna put all the links in the description. I'm gonna put also the links of other information about avalanches and stuff. So yeah, stay safe and be lean and entrepreneurial. And thank you.
Seriously, do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being
It's
a
my
guest.
pleasure.
And yeah, guys, see you soon.
Take care.